working.
Oh, yeah.
And like I said, if you've been doing that for that many years,
We're in, people are in this, like,
you should be up here talking about historic. Because that's
well, they've heard.
yeah, well, they'll soon have heard us too.
I was the one who started the conversation with all the municipalities this past year. Into our fourth year now. The church moved back to 132 initial subscribers, 500,000. Back to SUMA, 330,000, which were the startup costs. And then back to C. Also, is back to 117.
I wonder if it's the one across the way. I honestly don't know. They have little signs in front of them, but I'm not sure where C is.
I know this gentleman quite well.
Yes, I know.
That's good. Right, yeah. That was before my time, but I thought that there was some sort of an agreement. I know that the building is now in our name and we pay the taxes, but then there's an agreement on
So is
maintenance.
this
There is that. The ambulance pays. What's up? Well, I'm thinking there was, and actually, I think somebody from would have been your administrator called ours.
so
She was doing some background research to see if it was.
just new in the last
That was
few
prior to my time on council, but it always seemed to me that there was some sort of an agreement. I would think it would.
All they do
Want
is
to take your
stick.
money?
Where at?
That's right. All they do
Know where you're thinking of building.
increase the premiums to cover these things.
Oh.
We're working on that.
And it would be fire, police, and ambulance, or just fire? Oh, okay.
So we're working on the premise. If you do the things properly, you gotta keep your insurance rates low. And you're more aware.
See, our administrator wasn't able to find anything. She phoned me, and then she was going to talk to, and I haven't talked to her since then. She was going to talk to Aaron Carmichael. Oh, Gull Lake, because Cecil died. Seemed to have a lot to do with that.
Like insurance
So
is
I'm kind of
such a
thinking that they maybe took the lead.
area. I mean, they just want your money, but they don't want to
Yeah, actually, the way it works is the ambulance pays 25% of all the heat, power, and then the money works a little differently on the rescue truck, but they contribute to their bay, and then fire contributes to the other two. There's just different formulas. The fire, well, we're all one thing now. Yeah. Yeah, because 2 years ago, we used to have right in the town. We had a common board, and then we had a town truck and an RM truck, and we looked after matters of town fire, and they did right the rural and then joint things. We got together on. Well, now we're all just one board. There is no town truck anymore, as per se, or rural truck.
Say it again?
Yeah, it's all one thing now. It works really well. It was a little bit to get that going.
It's all recorded.
every angle that you can explain. Right. It is.
So that's
You guys are coming to Swift by the way.
You took me back. Yeah.
oh, it's just nuts.
Oh, he's out here.
So were you guys looking at a cost share of like they would pay for so much to build a new will? See, if whatever the agreement would have been, it would have been, like I said, there's but it's back when it was formed, the town would pay, I'm gonna guess, 25% for its bay. This is how I'm gonna bet it. The ambulance was 25% of that split with the municipalities, and then the fire would have been, I think, the same way. It would. I think it was all using 4 ambulances that were probably.
Well, you guys are coming this way.
RM had their own truck. We jointly had a rescue truck, and then we had our own fire truck.
You guys are suckers for punishment. You're back for the second
But now
time.
everything is joint.
Just reminder stuff.
Yeah.
That's a good buddy.
Good.
Can we have everybody take a seat? And Tiffany, can you unlatch the doors back there so they close? Thank you. I'd like to welcome all the delegates to this session. It's a very interesting one, and you're not going to be disappointed. There was so much to learn in this first presentation that you've chosen the right one. Anyway, we'll get going here. I'd like to remind the delegates that on page 37 of your convention booklet, it shows the exits in case there's an alarm goes off and we've got to vacate, show you how to go, where to go. This session is also being recorded, both audio and what's on the screen here, and you'll be able to pick up off our SUMA website in a couple days. Right away? Oh, okay. I'm giving the staff a bad time here. Anyway, it'll be available for you to see and to review the questions and the answers and that kind of stuff. It's my pleasure now. Well, I've got one other thing. When it comes to question period, microphone back there, and it's important that you're right at the mic and speak clearly into it, not with a bunch of marbles like I've got, because of the recording of the session. With that, I would like to introduce to you Mike Powell, who is the president of SPRA, and after the last time I didn't do this properly, I just said SPRA, assuming that everybody knows what that is. What it is the provincial governing body of Saskatchewan Parks and Recreation. And it's an association of all the municipalities that have recreation programs and that kind of thing. And it's a very good organization. So, Mike, you're up.
Al might be a little biased because I understand he was a past president of SPRA as well. Welcome, everyone. On behalf of Saskatchewan Parks and Recreation Association, it's my pleasure today to introduce our panel discussion. SPRA is pleased to have this opportunity to partner with SUMA to promote the importance of recreation services in Saskatchewan and for Saskatchewan communities. I'd like to thank SUMA for inviting us to participate in this convention and to discuss this important topic of regional recreation collaboration. As we all know, recreation is a key factor in the quality of life in all of our communities. On average, urban governments spend 18% of their annual operating budgets to provide recreation and leisure services to residents. The panel today is going to focus on why some of our local governments are moving towards collaboration and regional models in order to deliver services. They will share insights on collaboration, ideas, lessons learned, and of course a few recommendations. Today's session will be moderated by His Worship Jared Schaefer, Mayor of Swift Current. Born and raised in Swift Current, Jared is an investment advisor and a vice president with the National Bank Financial. Jared's also very passionate about serving his community. In 2009, he was elected as the youngest mayor in the history of Swift Current and has worked very hard to enhance the quality of life for the residents. He's also served with the 2010 Olympics in Vancouver, the Federation of Canadian Municipalities, the Saskatchewan Hockey Hall of Fame, and is vice chair of the Saskatchewan City Mayor's Caucus. Jared was also awarded a Queen's Diamond Jubilee Medal in 2013. I was jiding him a little bit that he should maybe save some of that stuff for re-election year.
I don't know if there's going to be another re-election year.
Jared balances his work and commitment to the community with his family, including his wife, Kelly, and 2 children, Casey and Carson. And now I'm going to turn the microphone over to Jared. Enjoy the session.
Well, thanks very much for that and for getting things kicked off. This is going to be a great session. I know talking after the first one, there's a lot of great feedback, and we've got 3 fantastic presentations. I'm not here today presenting a best case scenario. I've got a little different story to tell about our experience with regional recreation confrontation, not collaboration. So I'm going to share that history with you a little bit. Before I get started, though, I do want to express my thanks to Saskatchewan Parks and Recreation Association for starting the conversation about making this very topical in the province. I think it's obviously something that impacts every municipality in the room. That's why you're all here, and certainly we had a full room before. And as we all are squeezed in budgets and continuing to deliver a high-quality life for our residents, I think it's obvious that in Saskatchewan we need to look at regionalizing and working together in terms of things like recreation. So as I said, these folks here are all going to talk about their successes and efforts in working together. And in my municipality, we're completely surrounded by 1 RM and then surrounded by 6 more, all within about a 30-minute radius. Now, predominantly, the City of Swift Current and the RM of Swift Current have had a very strained relationship at best. There's been battles over annexations, recreation, water, you name it over the years, and it's something that was very ingrained when I started on council several years ago, and unfortunately still there today. And we continue to make some progress on things like water, and we work through areas of annexation. But we have a real hard time finding common ground, unfortunately, considering that we all live so close to numerous aspects. It got to the point where we decided that we thought one of the things we needed to do in our area to try and elevate the discussion of recreation funding and to try and spark some of the folks that live in the municipality that surrounds us to maybe ignite their representatives to help fund in this endeavor, we decided to introduce a non-resident rate on our recreation. So obviously everybody had a flat fee for things like minor hockey or swimming. But what happened is if you were from the arm of Swift Current or further, you had an additional charge on that. And our justification for that is in Swift Current, we only cover about 50% of our overall recreation budget through user fees and rentals and things like that, meaning that they're highly subsidized by property tax within the community. So we felt if we couldn't get some help from our neighbor to alleviate some of that cost, then we would just have to impose the fee. It was, as you can imagine, incredibly controversial, and certainly one of the most controversial and stressful things I've ever been a part of in my time in municipal government. So much so that we implemented them in the fall about 4 years ago, and they were repealed. I would even suggest before Christmas. There was so much pressure put on our community. The main feedback that we took from it, obviously, was that people that lived within, let's say, 20 minutes of Swift Current or 15 minutes and closer felt that Swift Current was their home community too. They'd always been a part of it, considered it their home, and they were now offended that they would be considered non-residents or have to pay more for this service that they felt is just as much as home as we are in the community. The second thing that was, I mean, we just didn't have any other way to deal with it, but there was another downside that it impacted I guess, a target more so than we wanted it to. Obviously, tourists or visitors to our community were being stung by this. If they showed up at the pool and they were from, you know, Alberta or wherever, they were having to pay this higher fee and obviously left a little bit of a bad taste in their mouth. The other thing is it extended further than we wanted it or needed it to. So I'm glad Blake is here from Gull Lake. I see Cabry's here in the room with us as well. Those are both communities that are within about half hour to 45 minutes of Swift Current. Obviously, we benefit when their residents come into our community, but they were also having to pay that fee. And that wasn't in our intent, because those are communities that have their own recreation needs, that we know they've got their own challenges, and so it wasn't our intent to get those revenues from them. It was more the immediate surrounding area that we felt we needed help from. So those were the aspects of it. Obviously, there was a huge revolt towards local business in Swift Current, very vocal about how dare you do this, we're going to take our business to everywhere but Swift Current, and that was where the pressure came from to change it. So I'm very happy to listen to the presentations again. I think they're great because they show the one thing that we're really missing in our area is it takes both sides to be willing to recognize the need that everybody benefits from supporting recreation. It's not just something where the community or the cities or the towns or villages benefit by people coming in and taking part. It's certainly a bilateral benefit that goes both ways. So we are going to start with some guests from Alberta, and I'm happy to introduce Martin Shields, the Mayor of Brooks, Alberta. Martin has been involved in municipal governance since 2004, and he served from 2004 to 2007 as councillor, and from 2007 to present as the Mayor of Brooks. He holds a Bachelor of Arts, a Bachelor of Education, and a Master's of Arts degree. Mr. Shields has been living in Brooks with his family for 35 years and is very committed to the success and quality of life in his community. With him is his dance partner in this, and somebody that I would love to see move to the area around Swift Current, is Molly Douglas, who is Reeve for the County of Newell. Molly has finished her third term as County of Newell councillor in Reeve, and although she is married to a rancher, John, and invigorated by rural life, she does her best to avoid that work by staying involved in local government duties, so good for her for that. Molly believes the Newell region of Alberta is the best place in the world to live due to the variety of people, landscapes, economic opportunities, and strong community spirit. So I'm really thrilled that they're here. They've got a great story of working together, and something that I think we can all relate to in Saskatchewan, and certainly something that I think we can learn from. So please welcome them.
Well, glad to be here. Thank you for that warm introduction. It's great to be in Saskatchewan. Hospitality is great. I am a season ticket holder of the Calgary Stampeders. Hey, I got a bigger reaction this time than I did in the first one.
Yeah, do I get a mic cut on here?
But I took my grandson to a game this fall, not the playoff game. No, I'm going there. I knew when we host it, you're going to win. We choke. But he had a hard time understanding the Stampeders crowd. He said, "There's more green here than red." Wait till the game start, I said. But he very much enjoyed the color and the activities that Saskatchewan fans bring to Stampeders games. Truly a great phenomenon when the home team isn't the home team. But given that, it's great to be in Saskatchewan and to talk about our area, and great that Molly's here. It's great to work with intelligent people, especially when you're in municipal government with partnerships. I think in rural Alberta, something I didn't mention before was quality of life. You have a similar situation in the sense you have two major cities in your province, same as us. There's quality of life, and it's not all in those two major centers. We got somebody from Saskatoon, Regina sitting here that I've offended already? No. Okay, all right, good. Edmonton and Calgary are great places, as Saskatoon and Regina are. But there's quality of life, and quality of life is in other communities that are not as large as those two majors. And that's recreation is part of that. And one of the things that we work on is trying to attract people to our community, try to retain people in our community, and quality of life is a major part that we sell, and recreation facilities are a big part of that. And it takes lots of dollars to fund those things. And one of the things we work on a lot together is attraction of doctors. And it's a big piece of their life and their family's life, the quality of life, the things that you have for services in your community, and recreation is a big part of it. We've got some South African doctors with their kids learning how to play hockey and ringette and all those things that we take for granted as part of our lifestyle. But it's something that's important, is quality of life. And rural Saskatchewan, I'm guessing, is the same as rural Alberta. It's great. It's a great place to live, great place to raise a family in. But we need those facilities, and how do we pay for them? So I'll let Molly start on talking a little bit about where we're from.
Thanks, Martin. I just have to tell you, my little blurb about who I am. My husband is a rancher, and we do live in the northern part of the County of Newell. And just as Jared was talking about that line, he's phoning me. He has no concept of what it is I go away and do, and that I could maybe stop everything and talk to him. I just laughing. I said to Martin, look at, he's phoning me right now. Anyhow, this is where we are, the County of Newell. And our major city, Brooks, is in the middle there. I got to stand up. I don't know why. Can't talk and sit down for some reason. Brooks is in the middle there, the big yellow thing on the #1 highway, and we have Highway 36 as our big northeast transportation route. We have great transportation access within our county. Highway 36 takes a lot of the big and heavy loads up to Fort McMurray. It's a very busy highway. I live up where it says Finnegan Ferry at the top of that. That's the Red Deer River on the north and the Bow River on the south. So we're blessed with water as well. So the populations, the city of Brooks is up there, and then the County of Newell is about 1.5 million acres. We're big, and we are really empty, obviously, and we have huge municipalities compared to yours, eh? That always intrigues me that you hear, and I'm from Manitoba, and small municipalities. So these are our population figures. That's sort of cut them off there, but Town of Bazzano, 1282, Village of Dutchess, 992, Rosemary, 342, and curiously enough, Tilly, the village of Tilly, which is the 352 population, has now dissolved into the county, and that was something we didn't fight and argue about. There's lots of small villages in Alberta lining up to dissolve because they can no longer function. Infrastructure deficit is huge all over the place, not just in the villages. But because we have been collaborating regionally, we couldn't fight and say, we don't want you. And where are these people supposed to go? Just disappear out of our county? And so they have now become part of the county. So that's Newell, and we're situated midway between Medicine Hat and Calgary. And just partners, yes, we have lots of partners as well as our municipalities. And Martin and I have the joy of living in a community that is an old cow town, basically, Brooks and the County of Newell. We have the biggest one of the biggest. We have two big meat packing plants, the one that caused the E. coli headlines fall of 2012. But that requires a huge workforce. So the city of Brooks has changed and grown dramatically, and I'll let Martin talk about that. But you put that into the middle of a very rural, conservative ranch and farming community, and throw us all together, and yeah, it's very interesting, to say the least. But the city of Brooks has done an incredible job. This is one of our regional things that's more of a cultural, social, warm, fuzzy organization that we try to promote people getting along. And Martin, why don't you talk about these slides?
Sure, thanks. That's an event called Taste of Nations. We have about 100 different recognized nationalities, countries in our community, so it's a very, very, very diverse community. And we do a Taste of Nations where the ethnic groups provide lunch. We don't have the Scottish people figuring out how to get haggis there, but one day I'll get them there. But we have a tremendously diverse community looking at lots of different things that they want. No, we haven't got a cricket field built yet, but we'd like people to have a cricket field. But soccer has changed dramatically in our community. But as we cooperate, we've tried to promote through this committee as it continues on the whole region We do a couple of things that are just fantastic. The one is celebrating each other's communities. So, for example, this year, Bazzano is going to recognize Dutchess. They hold a supper. They recognize that other community. They talk about that other community. A couple hundred people come from the county all around and find out about that community. That's been going on for 5 years. The one that hosts it, they get to pick the next community that they're going to recognize. So it's a really great way of getting people out from all over our area to find out about all the communities in it. We also do a couple of what we call bus tours. We load up a bus of 50 people who like to ride around and learn about different places, the communities, find out what businesses are in that community. It's just a good way of learning about other community events and their facilities and their recreation facilities. Good. Okay, you want to talk about core services that we're doing as well?
Just all of us have worked regionally on different things over the years, and these are just some things that are historic by now, I guess. Waste management and recycling, compost. Our communities all participate in those things. This is our recycling depot in Brooks. That's the central one. There's also one in the town of Bazzano. And our regional landfill, which is out at the junction of Highway 1 and 36. So those things didn't come about easily. I remember living in the town of Bazzano and the fighting about that, about a regional landfill. People don't even want to give up their garbage. Like, get a life. This, to me, is what I hope the County of Newell has done that is forward-thinking. And speaking of forward-thinking, I have to give credit to our County of Newell administrator, who is from Saskatchewan. What a surprise. His name is Kevin Stevenson, and he used to be in the town of Carnduff. And I had people come up and talk to me. And right now he's golfing in Phoenix. But without him as our administrator leader, a lot of the things that we wouldn't have accomplished without him. So I want to give him credit for that. Regional water, anyhow, is without water, our communities can't survive. And we're thinking that to have good potable water into the future is huge. So we have put a lot of money into regional water that isn't just to our other communities, it's for our rural people as well. So eventually anybody in the County of Newell who lives anywhere in the rural area will be able to be getting water, and this is the most amazing thing to me, from the City of Brooks water treatment plant, because we're putting pipelines in all over the place. And that's probably our biggest regional accomplishment, I would say, Martin, correct?
Money-wise, it's the biggest one, but it's the kind of thing that our election issue that we recently had, it was an issue in the election. The City of Brooks gave our water treatment plant to the new regional water. We want to take our city back. One of my person that was running against me, his slogan was, "Let's take our city back." And we said, back to what, the Dark Ages? Yeah, they don't get it, but that's okay. He didn't win, so. He got 3% of the vote. This is just water treatment, but I talked too long the last time. I'm excited about it. We also have a regional economic development initiative that the city is part of. They are the only other community that supports it financially. Our little communities are part of it, but they're not asked to contribute money. We have lots of water within our dried out desert area, which is amazing because it's an irrigation district, and the reservoirs are used for recreation. Oh, you went past the medieval fair. I got to say something about that. You should. It's the only medieval fair in Western Canada of its kind. It's really great, though. It's the weirdest thing. It's like in the olden times. These guys get dressed up with big type armor. It's fully loaded. And they get those big sticks and they get those horses and they charge right at each other to see if they can knock each other off. That's a crazy event. Anyways, you want to see guys put sticks in their hands and get the horses going full blast and run at each other? They do it there. Or you could come to a branding at our house. Yes, some of our, these are just websites of the different things that are happening in our region, that our economic development people, I always get a kick out of this. We're, the County of Newell was part of the FCM work overseas, third world country type stuff, developing it. This was a picture taken in Cambodia. I always say it's downtown Brooks on a Friday night, but. Okay,
This is the beginning of some of the recreation stuff, and I'll just briefly talk. Regional Enhancement Agreement was an agreement that the County of Newell embarked upon in 2008 to 2011 to share money that all of our municipalities were getting money from the province. It's called Municipal Sustainability Initiative. And when it came, some of us felt as though the rich were getting richer and the people that really needed it weren't benefiting. So we as a council decided to share, I think it was $4.3 million of our municipal, or MSI it's called, with our urbans. And we sort of didn't put a lot of restrictions on it. We just said, make sure you try and spend it on things that our rural people are using as well. And so here are a couple of things, and I'm going to let Martin talk about the arena. It's marvelous.
I hope you heard what she just said. They decided to give us money. They decided to give us money. That's a huge shift in mentality when they decided to work with us to support the municipalities, the urbans inside the County of Newell. That's leadership, and that's huge. So, yeah, the Brooks Bandits, the Canadian National Tier 2 Junior Championship last year, playing in what we call our Centennial Arena, labeled the best Tier 2 junior hockey arena in Canada. Yeah, we take pride in that. But it's not built inside the city. It's in the county, outside the city boundaries, on land donated by the Eastern Irrigation District and partners that donated a lot to that, including the County of Newell. So a great recreational facility. We have 7 ice surfaces within the County of Newell. We have teams come out of Calgary, come down so they can practice at a decent time of the day with their little kids instead of at 6 in the morning on Tuesday in Calgary. So, but we coordinated those ice surfaces through our recreation department so that we get all of the ice surface used as much as we can. Tilly is 15 minutes away. Dutchess, 10 minutes away. I mean, these are not great distances, so the idea that we can use more surfaces, not all in one, is something that we've worked at. Bazzano swimming pool. Bazzano needed a swimming pool. They had an old outdoor one. Brooks has a great indoor facility, but the county supported Bazzano in the building of it alternative swimming facility. So it's promoted as, yeah, it's great to go indoor, but you want an outdoor experience and a great pool, it's in Bazzano. It's only 30 minutes from Brooks, and lots of people live in that part of the county, and it's a great recreational facility that we promote as a regional facility. You got to get there on the road, I guess. There's your agreement. There's going to be a slide that shows up here that talks about a joint service committee. Now, as I mentioned in the previous one, it was a committee that's existed for a long time. A few county councilors, a few city councilors get together and talk about whatever they want. And we were polite to each other and went away. That has really changed. It has changed in the last 10 years. It's a committee that you can bring any idea to, and it may be nuts, it may be crazy, but you won't be derided for bringing it up. It's a safe place to bring up any idea that we might think that might work for the region. No fear, no recrimination, and we look at the ideas to see what value they have. So we have county councilors, city councilors sitting at that one, bringing up whatever issues we need to. Are we all happy with each other 100% of the time? Never. But we're willing to bring ideas to the table to discuss them. Any idea that might be of value, and it's treated that way no matter who brings it up. So that committee is the nucleus of many other things that have developed. We have so many regional partnerships that we work on, it's an unending list. But this is a key piece of that genesis, of that nucleus of what has happened in our region, is people willing to sit down and willing to take the other people's ideas and work with them. It's not territorial. Whether something happens in Bazzano, at Finnegan Ferry, in Brooks, it doesn't matter. It's good for all of us. So recreation is for all of us. It's a quality of life in a region. Well, Lake Newell's not in Brooks, so we still work with everybody to promote anything that can happen in Lake Newell.
This is something that's happening in the city of Brooks right now. They're ball diamonds. They'll be ready to go this spring? August, yeah, really beautiful facility as well. Regional Enhancement Agreement was the next round of money that we decided to support our urbans, or the mini munis as I call them. And you know, Martin talks about leadership, but for me it was a sort of a change in thinking of, we need people in the rural areas, and we talk all the time about how are we going to keep our rural kids here, and well, we're not going to keep anybody in our rural communities without good water, without good recreation facilities, without good schools. So why wouldn't we work to build together? So that, for me and our council, was sort of the way we headed with this joint work. So the second agreement is actually sharing of the linear tax assessment, because in Alberta, there is a move afoot. I think it's sort of fading, but for the urbans to share in the rural municipalities' assessment through their linear taxation. And I mean, we have lots of linear taxation in our big rural area with all the oil and gas facilities that are there. But if you begin just sharing all of that money and splitting it up within the province, then it looks like everybody sort of comes out poor rather than some of the wealth being kept in the communities. So we decided that we better make a decision, figure out how to do it for us that would work best. So we started in 2012 with 0.2 mil, and it'll work up to 1 mil in 5 years in 2017, just on our linear tax assessment for sharing with our rurals, or with our mini munis, our urbans. And so these sorts of projects are supported through that money. These are just a whole bunch of things that we've shared doing, but I want to get to these little villages because this is a golf course at the village of Dutchess. Well, there's a rec board that looks after it, but it's been on county land, but it's really close to Dutchess, a very popular spot. Rosemary developed this park with some of their regional enhancement money. A lot of it does go to recreation. We're trying to direct our little communities to start putting it into the ground. Our underground deficit is sewer and water is huge. Village of Tilly, this is the one that is no longer a village, it's a hamlet. They finished off some ball diamonds for part of their work. And this is one of our hamlets, Scandia, who has quite an amazing museum and park area. This is right in the city of Brooks, a water park that is a popular area. That's a neat facility if any of you want to build something that's free and fun for kids in the summer and they can just cool off, and it's a fun place. Silver Sage Community Corral is another area where there's a big corral for it's a riding arena. The Kinsmen have a big rodeo that they use that area for. It's right beside the regional arena. The Eastern Irrigation District, the county, and the city work together on that whole area. And we have just built a new building just south of this area as well. This is the Silver Sage. And all of these take a lot of volunteer people, of course. Martin, you made reference to the joint services. We meet monthly. And at one time, the joint services was always there, but we didn't always meet. But we meet. It's important, and to talk. Our CAOs meet as well on other things. That was quicker this time. So that's it for now.
Thanks very much, guys. Another great presentation. What we'll do is we'll actually work through all three presentations and then have lots of time for questions afterwards. So at this time, I'm very happy to introduce the White Butte Association. And with us today from there, we've got Bruce Evans, the mayor of White City. And Bruce has lived in the community since 1999, first in Emerald Park and now in White City. Bruce is an independent businessman with a wide range of experience in private business management, real estate development, and construction and management consulting. He's worked in the public sector as a senior advisor in areas of municipal government, the environment, and economic development. Bruce was first elected as mayor of White City in 2006 and is now proudly serving, continues to serve in that capacity. Sean McBain is with him. Sean is the superintendent for the town of Balgony and has been in municipal government for 24 years, being in Balgony for the last 14. And he looks after the recreation aspect in Balgony along with Public Works. He has 2 boys and a daughter and enjoys hockey, fishing, golf, and quadding, and really enjoys working with the surrounding communities to try and pool resources while working towards common goals. So please give a hand to these folks from White Butte.
Well, thanks very much. I'd like to give you a little bit of background about White Butte. I am the mayor of White City, but the organization, White Butte, is actually a voluntary association planning group that comprises the towns of Balgony, Pilot Butte, the village of Edenwald, the RM of Edenwald, the town of White City, and we have recently welcomed the city of Regina, and are in the process of inviting the RM of Sherwood. Now, if anybody has paid any attention to the news in the last year or so, you'll know the significance of that statement. White Butte is a voluntary organization. It was not mandated by the province, but our goal has been to identify areas where the various municipalities can work together to achieve goals that are to the benefit of everyone. The first and probably most significant to date project, other than a joint fire agreement, has been our work on trying to alleviate the chronic traffic and safety issues on the #1 highway between Balgony and through Regina all the way on to Moose Jaw. This has been an issue that has gone on for decades, and there have been studies upon studies upon studies as to where the overpasses ought to go. There has never been any agreement because each municipality in the region was lobbying to get an overpass at their community, and that was thought to be the way to get their community's overpass at the expense of another. So we got together when the Ministry of Highways approached us about 6 or 7 years ago about doing another study. And at the initial meeting, which of course the ministry asked us to cost share this study, the statement was made that we would agree to another study on one condition, and that is that this was the last study to be done before a shovel went in the ground. We were able to accomplish that, and the study's recommendations grew to include the southeast bypass around the city of Regina. We're hopeful that within the next very short period of time, you will be hearing of an announcement that will address these long-standing highway safety concerns and traffic congestion concerns. I'm going to leave it at that for now. But that was one project where White Butte worked together. I mentioned briefly that we have also worked together on fire. A third area that we have focused our efforts on is recreation. And we have put together some folks from the various communities to see how we could enhance the recreational facilities in the region, as opposed to, once again, competing about who's going to get a rink and how are they going to lobby the provincial government to get funding commitments, and it's got to be at the expense of our neighboring community, and we've got the dog rivers and the you know how it goes. So we've tried to avoid that. One area that we have identified, which is a kind of a pilot project to get our feet wet, is a regional trail system, which we have secured some financing, secured a consultant to provide us with some recommendations on recreation, including this trail system, which would be in conjunction with the Trans-Canada Trails. We have a park within our region called White Butte, hence the name of the planning district. And within White Butte, there are cross-country ski trails and nature trails. We're trying to see if we can accomplish is to get the Trans-Canada Trail to join up the various communities through the White Butte Park and all the way into the city of Regina, where those trails would then be tied in with the Devonian Pathway System. So this is not a $50 million new indoor hockey facility. This is a trail system, but it's a way that we can start to work together to accomplish the recreation needs in our communities. We are also looking at the possibility of working with the Prairie Valley School Division on joint use recreational facilities that could be tied in with the schools so that tax dollars are better utilized and the facilities are better used, as opposed to building two facilities and having one vacant for 2 months in the summer and a month over the Christmas holidays and all of those other things. So I guess the point is there will always be areas where, whether it's the towns in a region or the town versus the RM, where there are areas of disagreement, and we certainly have our share of those. But if you can identify areas where people can work together and they can all see that there is a benefit to working regionally, that's when it makes it easier to sell. We have in fact received some funding from the RM, as have the other urban municipalities, for recreation facilities. We don't believe it's enough, and we understand that we need to work with the RM and with our other municipal partners to see if we can make a more equitable distribution of costs associated with the recreation facilities. I think I'm going to end it there for now, and I'll be happy to answer any questions later.
Well, I think Bruce has covered the majority of this topic here, but just a few other things. Like, we've always had long discussions amongst our group in regards to what the city of Swift Current tried to attempt. I'm glad we didn't go that route in regards to a user fee for all our RM residents in order to help subsidize our facilities. Like Bruce said, we always received some sort of funding from the RM. It was never a great amount, and it was always based on a grant, where the question was always asked, how much is the town going to be matching, right? So over the last 2 years, they've just introduced a set amount for each community, which is not enough, but it's a start. Baby steps is helping a long ways here, with help paying the cost of utilities within all the facilities, because a lot of the RM folks are using the facilities basically for free. So other than their rate, they're not paying taxes. As far as White Butte, it's good working together as a region, because we're able to use it as some leverage in regards to garbage collection and purchasing of equipment and stuff like that. So when we were able to put out a package to some of these bigger companies, they're able to be a lot more competitive for all our communities, stuff like that. So that's about all I've got to say in regards to that. Like I said, Bruce covered the majority of it. Thank you.
Thanks very much, guys. I'd love to sympathize with you, but not enough is better than none. Anyways, we'll close out with a fellow from my neck of the woods. Blake Campbell's here as the mayor of Gull Lake, and he's here to share a great story between the town of Gull Lake and a few of the RMs that surround that community. Blake is currently serving his second term as mayor. He's known for his accessibility, enthusiasm, and commitment to Gull Lake and his residents. First elected in 2008, Blake served on town council and was elected mayor in 2010. He has served on the board of the Rolling Hills Health District and is currently a board member of the Southwest Public Safety Region and Cypress Hills Destination Area. Blake is employed by the Gull Lake and District Road Ambulance Corporation as CEO and has been an EMT since 1987. So welcome, Blake.
Thanks, Jared. Well, I'll have to start off by saying this is my first time to actually sit on a panel or have the opportunity to speak out of the greater metropolitan area of Gull Lake. And I never get an introduction quite like that, and I'm usually asked to be kept brief in my speaking. So I'll still try to keep it brief, but a little bit about Gull Lake. Like Jared said, we're about a half an hour west of Swift Current, about 50 kilometers. We're surrounded by the arm of Gull Lake and bordered by two other RMs, the arm of Carmichael to the south and the arm of Webb to the east. We have two villages. One lies to the east, the village of Webb, and another one, the village of Tompkins. Anyway, to talk a little bit about the collaboration that takes place in our area with regards to recreation and culture, give you a bit of a history. In 1977, the town of Gull Lake and the RMs of Carmichael, Gull Lake, and Webb came together and formed the Gull Lake Recreation Board. Consists of members of each of those municipalities. Later in 1985, the village of Tompkins and the village of Webb joined on as well. The board itself was founded to be responsible to oversee, supervise, and manage the cultural and recreational facilities in our area. And the other role that they also play is they watch over the facilities and they make recommendations back to the respective council with regards to improvements that we may need, upgrades to facilities or equipment or sites. To start with, the board established a levy as a way of generating some funds. And back then it was $5 per capita levy. And that levy went to funding the recreational and cultural projects and facilities in our area. In 2000, they came up with another agreement so that we could hire a recreation director. That agreement that works through the recreation board is the salary of the recreation director. 49% of it's paid from the town of Gull Lake. 49% of the salary is split three ways between the three RMs, and 2% of the salary is paid by the larger of the two villages. We've had a great deal of success in our collaborative efforts, working together to provide our area with and meet the needs of our recreation and cultural needs. That's not to say that we don't always sometimes see eye to eye, and sometimes we have differences of opinion, but when the rubbers hit the road, we've really been fortunate to have the relationships with all of the municipalities that we do. Certainly, one of the big successes that we saw through the Recreation Board was the creation of the Pool Deficit Recovery Project. Of course, any of you folks who have a swimming pool in your community know exactly what kind of a drain that can be on you. And we struck a deal through our rec board whereby the town pays 50% of the deficit, and the remaining 50% is covered off by the three municipalities. Where that really benefited the community was prior to 2007. Actually, most of the money that was collected through the levy I was speaking of actually went to covering off the deficit of the pool. So once we created that separate agreement to cover off that pool deficit, then the $5 levy money, which is now $7, is able to be channeled into more facilities and projects related to culture and recreation in our area. Intermunicipal cooperation, in our case, has been the key to this being as successful as it is in our town. We've been lucky that all of the rural municipalities and our neighboring villages see the benefit of working together and pooling our energy, our resources, so that we're able to have what we do. Certainly, where we are today, we have a recreation director that none of us could afford if we had to do it on our own. We have a pool deficit that's funded off equitably. And the other thing that I guess I forgot to mention was annually we do, we have recreation board grants. Groups, individuals, and organizations apply for these grants annually. Last year, the board awarded a total of just over $40,000 to different organizations and individuals and clubs in our area to recreation and cultural projects and facilities. I think the model that we're using is a sound model. I think it's one that, you know, if you're in an area and you're fortunate enough to have the intermunicipal cooperation, really works well. It's very black and white. Funding on the per capita levy that goes to supporting your recreation and cultural needs of your community, and then the other side of that is the funding for the recreation director. So we've been very fortunate in that, and if you don't have a pool, you have that much more money to put into something else. But that's how we do things. That's how we're able to do things in where I come from, in the regional collaboration. And we've also worked on other things as well together, emergency services and other initiatives. And we've always found that working together collaboratively, it's been really good for us. So thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Blake. Those are three great presentations, and we've obviously got a mic there in the center of the room, so I invite anybody that's got any questions for any of our panelists, please step forward. We'll start, just ask you to state your name and where you're from, and we'll maybe start with one question, and if there isn't that much interest, you can keep firing away. So please don't be shy.
Good afternoon, Bernie Morton, Town of Kindersley. Quick question for you in regards to setting up some type of structure that can begin the dialogue other than informal types of discussions. Is there a formal type of committee, advisory group, both on the political side and the government side, and also including the community? So what type of structure would you advise setting up to begin the consultative process?
I'll take a stab at that. The government relations, sorry, they changed the name periodically, does have an advisory services group that can help you to go through the process. I don't know if they have any funds available anymore, but they did have some seed money that they provided to White Butte to get the process rolling. It's not ongoing funding, and frankly, my view is that if you're going to have a regional organization that works, you shouldn't have to depend on government financing in order to make it work. You should be able to find enough money in your own budgets to pay for it. I know that may not be the most politically correct thing to say, but if the value is not there, then you won't be paying for it directly or indirectly. So they do have some seed money available. They do have municipal advisory services, but you do have to have somebody on the other side in the RM who's also willing to take that first step. And in the case of White Butte, we were well, I mean, we continue to have our issues, but having something that is a common goal for the region is a good way to start. In other words, I'm sure you've heard this before, but pick the low-hanging fruit. Pick the thing that regionally everybody can get behind as the first project to collaborate with your neighboring municipalities. It helps.
Thanks.
Sorry, just supplemental question on that. So did you have a structure and a process, or did you not have a structure and a process? Sorry, I didn't quite understand whether or not you had something that was formalized or not.
Yeah, we do. As far as White Butte is concerned, we do have a formalized group, and we meet once a month. We have committees that have been struck. Each municipality has contributed either in kind or in dollars and cents funds towards the operation of White Butte. And we then have established subcommittees within the White Butte organization for things like recreation. We have a recreation subcommittee. We have a transportation subcommittee. We have fire services subcommittee. So, and those priorities will change over time. Some may bubble to the top, and others you'll drop out. But so yes, we do have a structure. But the point that I'm making, I guess, is that it is voluntary. This is not something that's forced on the organized or any of the municipalities by the provincial government. So we do it collaboratively.
I think to get your dialogue started, if you could get the mayor and the Reeves and the administrators all in the same room to start your dialogue in regards to where you want to see your region go, is probably your best bet to get started. Get your higher ups, your administrator, and like I said, a couple of councillors even, and just open up the discussion. What would each municipality or town would like to see, right? And start from there.
It was an excellent question, and we try to think back to where we started this. And it is that first meeting of getting the people in the room and the non-threatening issues on the table, the things that territoriality don't. To get that trust built is initial step. So you get the people in the room, like you say, and start to build that trust. We did it between ourselves and the county, but then we pulled in the other municipalities, and they treated the city of Brooks as the big dog. Oh yeah, you're big, you just want your way. And this still term comes up occasionally. They treat the county, well, they got all the money, so they, so they can do whatever they want. But that is lessened as we've pulled the other municipalities into the discussions, and so that there's unending cooperative things that we've going on, that we know each other so well, we see each other's elected people oftener than we do our spouses. But that trust is developed so you can build those other things. But you got to get them in the room to begin with, like you say, and start finding those issues you can talk to are non-threatening to build that trust initially. But that takes a lot of work. It's not easy. It's just not easy. It takes a lot of work and patience. And you have to put up with the side comments, and some counselor will say something to a reporter, and all of a sudden things go sideways for a week until you get it straightened back out again. But it takes hard work, but it's worth it. It's really worth it.
If I could just add to that before the next question comes, I think the big thing in all of it is you have to have two sides that are willing to dance, right? Because if one side is willing to do that, and I mean, you can get everybody into the room, and we've gone through municipal affairs planning for growth, and we haven't had success. But one thing that I will say, I think this is the first time I can remember at a SUMA conference where we've had a dialogue and discussion like this, and I think it's very topical that as municipalities we continue to elevate that conversation and bring the education level up, because right now it's, nobody really knows what's going on anywhere. I mean, Blake is a half hour from Swift Current. I didn't know there was a recreation agreement there. So I think the more that kind of information gets out there, the tougher and tougher it is to say that, well, no, it's not in the, as a rural, we don't have to support you, because if it's happening all over the place, I think it's a tough argument to say that they don't have to participate.
Is somebody here from SUMA, have you got a director in the room here? Right. Yeah. Now that's a role because I sit on that board for Alberta AUMA, and we push them into starting to collect these agreements so that people would know. So we've used our organization to, one, reach out and find where those agreements are, and then build the library so people can access them. So use your provincial organization to start pushing for that. And it was a good thing for our board to understand the agreements that were around the province and the variety there are, so to give the other people something to look at and take and say, okay, we don't have to start from and reinvent the wheel. There's some agreements out here we can look at. But use your provincial organization.
Yeah, thanks. Next question.
Grant Martin, Mayor of Mancota. I'm newly elected last year, and I ran into a situation with our Parks and Rec where it was totally fragmented. And I asked one question, and I ended up getting a resignation from part of it. Okay, how's that? So after talking to the administrator and having one part of this fragmented Parks and Rec resign, I didn't know what the hell to do. So I asked for a bylaw, if we had a bylaw, and she dug one out of the archives that was monstrous and almost unmanageable, and nobody was living by it. The other fragmented part of this whole scenario, none of them were living by this bylaw. So now I don't know what the hell to do with this thing, because do we build a new bylaw? Do we have to have a bylaw governing Parks and Rec in Saskatchewan? Does every community have to have one? That's one question I have. And can we build a bylaw if we have to fit the practice, or do we have to have a bylaw that's very strict and live by the bylaw?
You can build the bylaw to what your needs are.
Well, we have a bylaw, but it's very big and it's very cumbersome, and nobody's living by it anyway, and they haven't been living by it since about 1985. And there's no accountability to the council. There's no accountability to anybody but themselves. So is there a requirement in Saskatchewan that requires every municipality to have a bylaw in place to govern Parks and Rec?
I can't answer that yes or no, but in my days when I was younger, I assisted communities to set up recreation boards, like 78 of them in the province. The purpose at that point was to create a legal group in the community that could receive government funding. Okay. Now, the other part, I think that a bylaw has a useful purpose for. It tells all the players what we're doing. They shouldn't be complicated. It should be a very simple, easy to read type document, but it just puts down in writing what everybody's doing and what the expectations are then of your neighbors or whomever, pardon me, whoever are involved in the process. Now, I haven't really answered your question, but
no, but you give me an avenue where I can come and talk to you after. Maybe we can get something done. Thank you.
Any further questions, or are we in a rush to get out of here? Yeah, go ahead.
If I can just add a couple of things. I have learned a couple of things here today that I did not know before. One of them was the percentage of money on average that municipalities, and it's 18%. Is that urban municipalities or is that all municipalities? Urban municipalities. That's a valuable number in discussions with delivering services that are delivered to both urban and rural municipalities. I'll leave it at that. The other number that I heard that is very interesting is 50% of the shortfall on a recreation facility that is split by the municipalities who utilize the service. This does all come down at the end of the day to dollars and cents. It really doesn't have a whole lot to do with where facilities are located so much. I mean, the one that you just identified where you've got a skating rink that's in the RM, not in the city of Brooks, but because everybody contributed to it and everybody uses it, they don't worry about whether it's, I mean, that facility won't pay taxes to either municipality anyway, so, right? And all of the recreation facilities that we're talking about here are not tax generators. So does it really matter where they are so much as who pays for them? And so those numbers are good numbers. I like them. I'm going to use them.
I'd just like to say it's really good conversations we're having, and I just have a question, probably because each of you is so separate and each of you can identify it. First of all, I'm Kelly Skotnitsky. I'm with Saskatchewan Parks and Recreation. And I'd just like to ask each of you, because Blake's mentioned about the deficit in the pools and the new facilities in Brooks in the County of Newell. I'm just wondering, is there a plan or is there any model set up as far as the operation goes, on the big picture, like the big ticket items, the capital expenditures that are involved with operating these facilities, like 10 years from now when, you know, when your compressor is going to go, your chiller is going to go, or you need a new boiler in your pool, those type of things. And there's a plan in place to address that when those expenses arise. So,
Yeah, well, for ourselves, for the town of Balgony, we do have an account set up for each facility, and it's just called it's just a matching grant. So each facility puts at the end of the season, whether it's $3,000 away, and council will match that, and that can only be used for capital upgrades. So that's the pool, swimming pool, and the skating rink. So.
As far as Gull Lake goes, not necessarily. I don't believe that we have actual that built into. We do keep an eye on our facilities and upcoming expenses, but once they're identified, that we start putting money aside.
That's long-term planning. We're only here for 3 or 4 years. What do you mean 10 years from now? I'm not going to be there. No, but it's a good question. We've developed a preventative maintenance program, and part of the reason for doing the preventative maintenance program is to get a handle on that long-term things of what's going to have to replace when and when to schedule in the budget. And we're just getting a handle on that, because it shows up at council. Oh yeah, the chiller broke down. We need $300,000 to fix something, and that's usually the way. But we've got to do it differently. It's not working that way. So hopefully we get a handle on that with a preventative maintenance plan and a schedule that tells us more that we need to do for the long-term planning. Good question.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Abrahamson from Momart. And I just want to share an experience that we had in our community that I think developed a very good and solid relationship between the municipalities and the urban centers, the villages and towns within our municipality. We're very fortunate that we have only one municipality to deal with. But they pay 50% of everything. We guarantee the other 50%. And we started with, on the recommendation of Al Heron, some 19 years ago, we started a regional park as the first project. And we thought, how can we get the support of all the communities? Well, we took the 3 centers that were urban in development within the RM, which was Kendall, the village of Kendall, the village of Candiac, and the village of Momart. And we said, let's call it Kamoka. That's the first 2 initials of Kendall. Secondly, Momart, M-O, and C-A. And everybody thought it was a native organization, but it really wasn't. And I was one of those who asked that question when I arrived there. Through this, we have built a very strong recreation base. And we have no difficulty in getting projects in any one of these communities. We have built now to the point where this year we have 52 park areas within, or 52 units within our park with sewage and water fully equipped, with the swimming pool, with 3 ball diamonds, with a walking area through our cooperation with the Canada New Horizons. Yes, it was New Horizons. And we have a 9-hole golf course. We give swimming lessons every year. And I want to say that we in this last year, opened on January 1st for rentals. And we had 22 of the units booked for the season. we don't have to give financial support anymore because we got this cooperation in the first place. The Catholic Church gave us three large sections of land, enough for a golf course and enough for a park. People will volunteer, they will work. We've hired a part-time recreation director. She serves also as economic development. And she has turned this whole thing around to where the park is paying back to the tune of $5,000 to the RM and $5,000 to the village, $5,000 a year towards the money they needed to build the structure so that it was usable by more people. There are projects, and if you pick a project, you'll find a way of developing the whole field. Parks and Recreation have been more than happy to assist us with advice and with support, sometimes financially towards a project, through this system. So just look around, be a bit creative, and dare to do it. If you don't dare to do it, you'll sit back in the backwoods and wonder why your area is going behind and why you're not encouraging new people to come into the community.
Thanks for the good comments. Al appreciates the plug. Sure, one more question and then we'll wrap it up.
Yeah, I'm John Orstein from Lipton. I've been there for 2 years, formerly from Enchant by Brooks. What we're running into is we have a beautiful arena. There's only 300 of us living in town. We cannot get enough people to use it. Fort Qu'Appelle, our kids are going to Fort Qu'Appelle to play hockey, figure skating. Their ice is booked. Now, is there some sort of government assistance that could help us reduce our ice rates so these people would be enticed to come and skate in our arena? Like Brooks, I know my son played junior hockey there. The only time anybody went looking for extra ice is once the Brooks arena was filled. Then, oh, well, we can't get ice here, let's go to Tilly or Rolling Hills. I think our governments should be looking at subsidizing our ice time in these small areas, or subsidizing us, so we can let it out to other people or other bigger centers to get this used. Otherwise, our big center is going to go down the tubes.
There is a grant that the government is offered last year and this year, and it's it's $2,500 per ice surface. And I know it doesn't sound like a lot, but it sure does help go a long way for powering bills. If you want to phone Kelly at the SPRA office, right there, he can lead you in the right way. You may be too late for this year's grant, but you might be on board for next year. And that goes for your curling rink also, if you have a curling rink too.
Good. I guess I want to thank everybody for their presentations. Thanks for the questions, and we'll pass it back over to Al to wrap things up.
Gerard, thank you very much. I'd like to have all of you join with me in thanking the panel for a great job. And to have this happen, SPRA were our sponsors for this, and to them, Mike, we really appreciate your help. I guess before I forget, the fellow that was asking about power rates and whatnot and what the government should be doing, I'd like to share with you, it was back in 1961, I sat on a committee where we went to SaskPower asking for this thing. I don't know how long ago 1961 is, but it's been a long damn battle, let me tell you. Anyway, the other thing to our panel, I'd like to say a special thanks again. And I have a thank you card here to give you. Normally we would have a big cash in the envelope, but we've changed our policy, and what we do now, we make a grant to the Mike Badham, who Mike used to be a president of SUMA, got killed in a car accident in South Regina here, to his scholarship fund. And so, having said that, thank you again. Thank you all for coming, and we'll see you at the rest of the convention.
Be sure to tell Aaron that I saw I'll tell him to stop in Brooks next week. Bye.
Yeah, you bet.
Yeah, actually,
Well, I haven't seen it.
we got a card. Great. I will have our administrator. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, Dirk. Bet.
Thank you, sir. Oh, sure. See you guys answer.
Oh, again, thank
Oh, I
you.
have an answer for everything.
Doing it with you.
That's fun. So let's talk.
Yeah.
We have a recreation board right now that is just Emerald Park in White City, but we're building on a.
Been there, done that.
Yeah, theirs is much further than that.
Yeah.
In a lot of different places.
Martin, you want to take that? Because I have one. So that way, because they put it on, that way it's not such a stressful thing. We've got a couple.
Yeah, when there's a, like, yeah.
Appreciate your time.
That's exactly how it has been.
Oh, you're so welcome.
Right now, we're dealing with the pool line.
All right.
So they come back, they tell us that this is an issue we have to start putting funds aside for. We also do a lot of fundraising though. Like, we just had Doc Walker concert in Gull Lake. And I think we made about $7,000 off that. So we do a bit of that.
Well, good. And where
Try
are
to
you?
participate in
Okay.
Yeah. Our rec director
you're
actually
part
is
of-
outstanding. She does actually.
You're doing well.
Oh, she's outstanding work here. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Denise? No.
Members at large for the most part, or?
Yes, yes. Yeah, you betcha. Yeah.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying.
Oh, sure. Well, there's two of them now. They've opened another one. Yeah.
Yeah, it does work well having being elected officials.
Yeah, there's a lineup
They're
and
coming back to our table.
always.
We're saying this is what's coming up. That doesn't mean that we all put money aside.
Well, when they were going to open the second one, I thought
Yeah.
the first one
But
might
everybody
not have a
does seem
lineup at it. Now they
to
just
move
open.
things along really well that way. What's that? Oh,
I know. I haven't had a tennis yet today,
Yeah.
and I'm needing one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Somebody. You're so welcome. We enjoy coming here. This is our third time to Saskatchewan. We started in Saskatoon. We presented in Alberta. In Olds.
Based on a,
Actually, in Olds. Somebody was there from Saskatoon. We went there, and somebody there said,
and they base 60% of what's needed through a levy comes from population, and 40% of assessment.
yes,
It
hopefully.
used to be 50-50, and the area assessments went way up, and then one of those numbers juggled around, so yeah, we still have to do some juggling here and there. Yeah, no, it's worked well for us so far, and we've been lucky to have the relationship, I think, because I go to some places and it. Oh, okay.
Talk too much and take over.
So, well, and our rec director is paid by the town and subsidized the recreation board. Like, it's actually, she's their employee, but for benefits and stuff, we pay her through the town. But yeah, it's been around way longer than me. Since 77, and still even have that going is really, you know, because you can have changes in council, and sometimes, well, and sometimes, you know, you get into that where like our councils and there's history on some things, but, and we do,
And you see the car over there, behind that. Yeah. Oh, that's where we live. Beautiful. I know. Well, we got so many friends that have moved on here. Hi, you're a fellow rancher.
Hi,
That's
Joanne.
what we do. We
Nice
moved
to
from
meet you.
Alberta and then bought a ranch out here.
And that does happen too.
I just tell them, like, I told the minister back there, why we come here, and I said, there's a land opportunity.
Yeah.
Price?
Price of land.
Cheap? Oh.
It's gone up too.
Wow, Chinese.
That's everywhere. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's good. So how many years have you been here?
Well, I was coming out here all the summer anyway, but 2 years ago we sold our place in Leicester.
And moved from...
We farmed out in India.
Are there grandkids out here?
No, all there's...
And he has no kids. How did you get her out here?
Well, I told her, oh, the flags were moving. I bought a house.
Yeah.